Bah, so much to do. How am I going to get all this done? How am I going to get home and spend time with my family this evening? How? Well, hang around. I'll show you how. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how a really successful CEO, CIO level professional does this. And hang around to the end because I've got a free offer for you. So my name's Steve and I'm a professional coach. I coach professional people like you to find ways of succeeding that come from a happier and more grounded place. So for the best content in that theme, then please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to hit the notifications bell so you'll find out when new content arrives. Now, if you really want to know how to manage time, get things done and be able to get home, then there's few better people you could ask than CEOs and CIOs and CFOs, people of that kind of executive level. And that's exactly what I did when I worked for a really big financial institution in their very big IT department. I spent some time speaking to the head, the director level of that IT department, and I actually asked him these questions. How do you manage your time? How do you manage that workload and still get home to your family? And he told me. Because, you know, if there's anybody that's going to have a lot of demands on their time, it's them. I also get it that they have a great power to delegate, which you might not have. But believe me, people at that level have got a heck of a lot of work on, and there is a great demands on their time. And the fact that I asked is what makes this video different, because I could have made this video about the same 10 theoretical models that you find in every single time management book. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give you tips out of ivory towers created by academics. I'm going to share what real people really do. And by the way, trust me, it really works. It really worked for this director. So here's what he told me. He said, Steve, you've got to think about it like taking an exam. Now, I don't mind telling you that at this point, I was a little bit unsure because a lot of people find exams intimidating and scary. And I'm not sure people really want to think about managing their every day at work as being like sitting an exam. But do bear with me because this does make a heck of a lot of sense. I'll tell you what he said first and then I'll show you how it translates. By the way, I'm really interested in your experience as well. So whatever experience you have of dealing with large workloads and getting home, or maybe struggling to do so, I'm interested in that. If you're okay with sharing it, then please leave a comment. I'll read all your comments and I'll reply to as many as I can. So it's like taking an exam. And of course, what this is pointing at is applying exam technique. So here's what he said to me. You know, you've got a certain amount to do, a certain number of questions to answer, if you want to put it in those terms, in a certain amount of time. So the first thing to do is to take the exam paper and scan through it, see what's on it, see what the questions are, see where the big points are, and make a note of the questions you know you can answer quickly. And of course, you go to those questions first. It might not be in the order that the exam is presented in. You go to the questions you can get the most points on first, and then you read the question carefully, because you don't get any points at all for providing a brilliant answer to the question that wasn't asked. And then you answer that question as thoroughly as you can, score as many points as you can in as short an amount of time that you can, and then you move on to the next one. You don't hang around for perfection. You know, if you think you've scored most of the points you're going to score, then it's time to move on to the next question. Now, what happens if you can't answer a question? You mark it and you park it, and you move on to a question that you can answer, with the idea that you can come back at the end if you have spare time and have another go at it. And the same if you have partially answered a question but you get stuck. You mark it and you park it, you go and find something you can answer, and you come back to these difficult things when you've got time at the end. And you keep going around that loop, and of course when time's up, you close the paper and you remember this. The objective of sitting the exam was not to get 100%, it was to pass. Now, at first that might sound like not caring about quality, but it's not caring about quality. It's about recognizing the value of progress over perfection. And that's something that I covered in my last video about perfectionist paralysis. To some extent, this technique is one of the ways out of perfectionist paralysis. And I'll link that video up here. But how do you translate that into real office work? Well, there's one major difference, and that is that you can get new questions asked during the course of the day, which change the priorities of the day. But with that caveat, let's look at it like this. Overviewing the paper at the beginning of the exam is a little bit like taking a sheet of A4 and a pen and just scribbling down all the things that need to be done, all the things that are on the agenda for today. Going for the questions that you can score most on is having an instinct for what is more valuable work versus less valuable work. It's an instinct for prioritization. And the equivalent of reading the question carefully is thinking first what really needs to get done here. Now, you can use supplementary tools to this, like urgent important quadrants and to-do lists, and they're all very well. But what I love about this is two things. First of all, it's what a really successful CEO/CIO level person does, and it's proven in practice. It's the essence of getting more bang for your buck in terms of time. And number two is it's largely instinctive rather than paper-driven. You know, a time management method which is structured but instinctive, that isn't about doing lots of work on paper, I think is very valuable because it allows us to get things done without having to get stuck into the paper trail. Now, if this is a topic that you'd love to explore further, I would certainly love to hear from you. I'd also like you to subscribe to the channel and like this video if you did like it. And I mentioned a freebie, didn't I? Well, look, if you go to the description of the video or the pinned comment below this video, you can go to either place, you'll find a link to a resource which will help you to manage stress in the moment and make better decisions under pressure. Please help yourself. You're very welcome to it. And I hope I'll see you again next week.